Episode number 246, How Do We Do Church Now? With Arron, Hart, and Dan Griffin. Let's do it.
This is the definitive podcast for helping you plan, create, and execute dynamic worship experiences at your church. Useful, practical content in the areas of production, worship, communications, first impressions, and more. This is Making Sunday Happen.
Hey guys, welcome to Making Sunday Happen, the definitive podcast for helping you transform the worship experiences at your church. We help you do Sunday. So if that is in your auditorium or leading into your auditorium on Sunday or your online live stream, we are here to help. Now, you are on the front lines. You're the ones pastoring, leading, making decisions, executing your weekend. But we want to resource you. We want to help you. We want to come alongside you and help you with media content, training, with ideas to help you enhance your large group gatherings. The three areas that we serve you and your church are with ready-made media content, custom media from scratch, and training. Now you can download free media. You can get started with custom media and access our free training material at 1230.media. That's 1230.media. It is our heart to serve you and serve you well. Today on the podcast, I'm going to be talking with two great friends of mine, Arron Hart, who is the communications director at CityView Bible Church in Round Rock, Texas. We're going to be doing a case study of CityView with Arron and what they've done with their church online experience. We'll walk through what's on their website and why, how they've recorded their services, their process, the results that they've seen, and more. Now, CityView has really done well, and I thought that they would be a great church to look at to give you ideas on how to make your online worship experiences excellent. Now, these ideas apply even after COVID-19. And the way I see it, hopefully your senior leadership, or if you're a pastor that's listening, you're seeing the advantages of making your live experience just as excellent as your online experience, or vice versa. Making your online experience just as important as your live experience. So I'm hoping that even after COVID-19, we're looking at both to make sure that both are excellent and we pour energy into both. So we'll talk to Arron about CityView and how CityView has done church online these last couple of months. And you'll also hear from my friend Dan Griffin. Now, Dan has been on the podcast before, and he's been in ministry for a long time. He has a unique perspective. He has one toe kind of in ministry, and then one toe in the Christian business space. His wife is on staff at a large church in Columbia, South Carolina, Lexington, actually. She serves as a worship leader for a traditional venue, and both Dan and Melody are great friends of mine and my wife Katie and our family. And Dan is also a chapter leader at C12, which is a Christian business mastermind group that helps Christian leaders around the country. So he's got a very unique perspective with both ministry and Christian business. So you'll hear from Arron, and then you'll hear from Dan after a word from our sponsor, Secure Give. So check out this quick video and then interviews with Arron and Dan. All coming up. Check this out.
June the 6th, 2004. It was 5:45 in the morning when the Lord woke me up. And the Lord prompted me and said, walk through the doors that I will open.
Since the first century church, God has been equipping His people for the gospel to be advanced, so that people of every nation would be drawn to Him. Methods have evolved through the centuries, but the power of the message is unchanged. In the 21st century, we have been at the forefront of church innovation, leading a giving revival.
I believe that we're living in the greatest days of church history. And you and I have an opportunity to be a part of something that's going to impact the generations to come.
From our first church over a decade ago to the thousands that we serve today, We believe every donor should be equipped with the resources to give in the moment.
People want to give to your church. It's our job to remove the barriers.
Hey guys, today I welcome my friend Arron Hart to the podcast. Arron is the communications director at CityView Bible Church in Round Rock, Texas. Arron, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out.
Dude, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I know for those who don't know, you were in South Carolina for a little bit, right down the road from me, and then you left us, man. I'm still hurting.
I know, dude. We got to go get some queso sometime. Got to go get some food.
I would love that. When we can actually, safely leave our bunkers.
That's right.
And when you're in South Carolina, I would love to. Dude, Mexican food is like the number. I see these posts on Facebook that are like, "What are you gonna do when you get out?" Like, I'm going to a Mexican restaurant.
That's right.
Baby.
Getting the queso. All
where
the queso.
I'm going. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I will gain back all the pounds that I've lost while quarantined in a matter of just a few days. All right. Well, tell me a little bit about your role at CityView and what you've been up to the last couple months.
Yeah. So I'm the communications director here at CityView. I oversee print, web, digital, video content, and then also just help kind of with production. But yeah, man. So just all the web, all the social, all the video, all that kind of stuff. So, and it's been crazy around here, man. Just like I know it's been crazy for y'all and every church in America right now is making that shift to digital. So it's been crazy.
How much were you guys online the way that you are, and how much have you shifted the last few weeks?
So we were just online, like streaming our Sunday services, and we would do like we'd share a testimony every now and then. But now like we're doing all of our Bible studies are on YouTube, or men's and women's studies. And then we actually do Reengage, which is like a marriage ministry. And that's all online too. So we've kind of shifted everything that we were doing in person, like big study wise, to online that we actually weren't doing before. But it's kind of cool that people can participate, kind of along with it without being here. So
are you guys mainly using YouTube, or you do Zoom calls with everybody in, or how
so normally how it's working for our men's and women's and Reengage studies, it's there's a video, you go watch it by yourself, and then you schedule a time to with your table group to sit down and kind of Zoom chat about what your thoughts were and kind of go over the study notes and all that.
Gotcha.
So,
awesome. Yeah. Well, you guys at CityView have been a major example that we've been using to show churches of, okay, if you're looking to go online, here's a great church to look at for ideas and how they're doing it. So you guys have you've hit everything that I would recommend if I were the decision maker, what I would do. So I want to kind of walk through your approach, and hopefully it might just give churches some ideas of things that they can do while they're online, or even after COVID is over, to still have a major digital presence online, just some ideas and stuff. So, so you guys have chosen to go pre-recorded, simulated live, right? Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So, we made that decision, actually at my previous church in South Carolina. We actually had a hurricane that was supposed to kind of like make landfall and all that kind of stuff on Sunday morning. And so we actually had some previous experience with this pre-recorded stuff. So it was just a no-brainer for us to kind of make that move. One, because like we were worried about bringing in all of our production volunteers. It takes about it probably takes about 8 people to run Sunday morning kind of stuff. So getting those 8 people plus a worship team plus pastors and all that kind of stuff just didn't seem feasible. So we opted with pre-recorded. And so it's worked really well for us. Our people have kind of like latched onto it. I think we're kind of like making the shift in the next few weeks of like maybe recording bigger chunks. So we kind of have that more natural feel, kind of transitions feel smoother and stuff. But yeah.
Are you guys recording in bulk when you bring your crew into the church? How much are you recording in one?
Yeah, so our we're trying to get 2 Sundays of worship recorded, and it takes about like 2 hours to record that. So
how about your messages?
Our messages are week to week, so we actually record those on Friday. and then just
Okay.
kind of drop them into the timeline.
How many crew members are you taking to the church when you're doing this?
Okay, so
You said
funny.
8?
So it was 8 on a normal Sunday, but it's actually about 3 people right now, and 2 of them are one of our pastor's kids. So,
Okay.
and then there's a guy helping me with video, and then also me. So
Okay, so really streamlined crew.
yep,
You come
yep,
in and shoot it.
yep.
Okay, I want to talk about your website and your approach on your website, because this is one thing I've noticed from you guys that I really like. So on your homepage, you have 2 major buttons, and I'm I'm suggesting 3, and that is a watch live or a watch online, a kids service, and like a coronavirus watch live, kids service, and give online. Those are the 3 that I'm really saying these are the main buttons that you need on your homepage. You guys have done a coronavirus update button and a watch online button, which basically encompasses a lot of that. So I want to walk through both of those. So on your coronavirus update page, you have all the information that I would need, and I've seen churches spread this out on their website, and I love how you guys put it all in one place. So you talk about how we're doing church and how we're doing kids and how we're doing giving and all that. So walk me through what's on that page and how you guys went about putting that together.
Yeah. So the we have kind of like an intro video that from our worship pastor that kind of goes over kind of big picture, like we're making the shift to all online for studies and all that kind of stuff. And then one of the things I think is really cool, mad props to our operations director. We have 2 buttons below that say like want to help and need help. And so those are awesome. So he actually was a operations director for a church in Houston during Harvey. And so he basically took that same template and was like, okay, hey, here's what we're going to do to kind of help funnel people who want to serve plus people who need. And so those go to Google Forms, and they're like super awesome. They get dumped into a kind of a CSV that our pastors kind of work from to either, help get someone hooked up with someone else. Like, hey, I need, my yard mowed, or I need something like this, or, I need groceries or whatever it is. They kind of get dumped into a CSV where they kind of work from there. But then we also have all of our kind of church-wide emails that have gone out below that just talk about everything from how Kidsman's going to change, how students are going to meet differently. Like you said, online giving, and just kind of our church-wide goals. So yeah.
Give me your website so that people can check it out as we're talking.
Yeah, it's cityviewbible.org, and then this page is /coronavirus.
Awesome. So talk to me more about the forms. So I fill those out. Where do so they go into a CSV or a spreadsheet?
Spreadsheet.
File.
Yeah.
And your team takes that and then either fulfills the need or whatever, distributes that information. So what have you seen are the biggest needs that people have come to you for?
Well, so we've had people just say, hey, like I just lost my job, or I'm having a hard time paying bills or whatever. And so we're able to kind of look at all those needs and kind of what our benevolence budget is and kind of work from there and just say, hey, we can help pay for your groceries, or we can help pay for this utility bill or something like that. So it's they're doing an awesome job tracking with that.
Good. All right, let's walk through your watch online page. Okay. So tell me about your welcome or promo video. So let me set you up here. So I a few weeks ago, I went through like 50 churches in one Sunday.
Yeah.
And a lot of, there was a good chunk of churches using the church online platform.
Yeah.
But what I would see is the video player would just say offline.
Yeah.
Or not on, off the air or something like that. And then the side panel would have either an error or like, we'll be back soon, something like that. So if I go to the page and let's say I'm 30 minutes early, there's nothing there for me to see. In fact, it looks like very unkept.
Yeah.
And I was surprised by the number of churches that I saw that just it was very unkept. So tell me how you guys are engaging people even in off air times.
Yeah. So we were using Church Online before all this. And so the video that you saw a few weeks ago was actually kind of our placeholder video that was very generic, like, hey, well, we're so glad you're here, blah, 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 blah. We actually updated it this week to kind of help push everybody to Sunday Online, which is our resources page, almost kind of like our digital bulletin, which is so helpful. It's got giving notes and sermon notes and all kinds of stuff that you'll need for Sunday morning. So yeah, man, it's cool. I think the landing page is like really important, especially like not leaving it where there's like an error, like nothing's there. I think it kind of confuses people when you go to a page and nothing's there.
So tell me some of the other things that you've put in the side chat. Like I know if I hit the like the notes button, you go ahead and kind of put some stuff in there. Walk me through that.
Yeah. So we're still learning, obviously. I think everyone still is. The first few weeks, it felt like I was every single week dumping like 20 links into our chat, on Facebook, YouTube, and Church Online. So we started thinking throughout, probably week 3, like, hey, how can we streamline this where we're not having to, all these links? And so we just decided to create a page on our website, and that's cityviewbible.org/Sunday Online. And so all of those links, sermon notes, kids ministry stuff, our giving, everything like that is linked on that one page, plus our Connect card. I think it just helps like streamline things and, where we're not having to, copy and paste 30 different links throughout the service.
Right.
So
talk to me about your /Sunday Online landing page.
What
is that page all about?
Yeah. So again, it's kind of like our digital bulletin where it's just all the hot links, everything that you'll need is kind of there. So just scrolling down the page here, we've got all of our links for, if you want to watch on online, if you want to watch on Church Online or Facebook or YouTube, we got the links there. We have our digital Connect card. We also have a video from our worship pastor that just kind of explains like, hey, here's what this page is all about. And, we're excited that you're joining us. And that's pretty generic. But yeah, man. And there's our link for giving. We've just got all the links there, man. All the links.
Yep. Tell me about I was talking with Tyler Smith from Text in Church about the importance of a digital connection card.
Yeah.
And that's one of the links that's on this page for you guys. So if I hit that,
what
am I going to fill out and what is the importance of that? How do you guys use that?
Yeah. So that is, so we made the switch to, at first it was just like, we wanted to capture first time guests, like, so we could kind of connect them to our church. But now we've made it to where like everybody who is watching, like we're encouraging you to fill this out. We're actually even doing a thing right now where we're donating $5 to our local food bank on behalf of the people who fill out the cards. So this past week, I think we had somewhere around 60, 70 people. So, times that by 5 or whatever that is. And it will be donating that to our local food bank, which is really cool. And I think it helps and, give it a little incentive to fill it out.
Yeah.
But we're actually, while the service is happening, when I get these in, I'm actually doing it during the service. I'm downloading the CSV and putting it all on a Google Sheet. So our pastors can kind of track with it. And so we have a section that's like, hey, who's going to own this one? Who's going to own this card? Who's going to own this card? And every person on that list is getting either a text or an email or a phone call from one of our pastors, either that day or during the week to kind of just say, hey, thanks for filling out the card. Like what's going on in your life? Like, keep us updated. Like we want to know what's going on. And we also have like on that form, like, if I put my faith in Jesus or I'm new or something like that, we take those and like those get contacted first. So it was funny. There was someone that said I put my faith in Jesus Sunday, and I dumped it into the Google Sheet. And within like 20 minutes, one of our pastors picked it up and said that we made a phone call and we're chatting with them and stuff like that. So that's really cool. I think that's
awesome.
Really kind of gives people oh wow, this actually does something instead of just like what I've done in the past is just we have a form and you fill it out and you don't know what happens with it. So,
well, man, that's awesome. So tell me about one thing I also saw on this page is how you have digital and printable sermon notes. So tell me if I hit that button, what I'm going to see and how you guys have put that together.
Yeah, I think like most churches in America, like we have a subset that loves everything digital, and then we also have a subset that loves everything printable and everything tangible. And so we basically just decided, hey, let's do both. And so it's really not that hard. We have our digital sermon notes running through Subsplash, which is awesome. Fill in the blanks. You can email it to yourself when you're done. You can print it from there. You can do whatever you want with it. But then we also have the printable, which is basically the same thing, just formatted differently. So you can print it out on, printer and then follow along and write it down as you go. So
yeah, awesome. So the big three questions that people were asking us, and this could have changed a little bit, but is a few weeks ago, it was live stream. How do I get my live stream going? Then how do I do students and kids? Yeah. So one thing that I really like that you guys do is provide a like an activity page. Mm-hmm. Is that meant to go with the sermon? So the family sitting there watching the sermon, or is that for another time?
Yeah, so that actually is tied with, we do this thing called Super Short Bible Story that our kids pastor does every single week. And that actually plays in our live stream right before the sermon. And so it's content geared towards kids. We've got slow motion slime. We've got crazy sound effects. Like we've got all kinds of stuff. But that teaching that he does there is geared for this activity page. So it's all tied together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me about your actual online service. So we've kind of talked around it, but give me a sense of. You said that you get together every Friday to do the message, and then when you get together for worship, you do like 2 weeks worth. So what's been your approach? So obviously pre-recorded, simulated, live. Let's talk about that for a second. Why do you found that has really worked? Why did you guys make that decision?
I think also like we're able to produce the better content for our users. Like if it was live, it's kind of whatever it is, but pre-recorded, we can kind of go back and, make camera cuts and, fix audio and spend a little bit more time kind of polishing, which I think our people will really appreciate, a really solid product. And I think too, like our biggest bent is like the end user and how that's, if they're having a good experience, like that's awesome. And so I think hopefully we're doing that across the board with our Connect card and our Sunday Online page is all geared towards making that end user experience awesome.
What would you say to the argument of, but we need a sense of normalcy? It needs to be the same thing so that I can feel like something's normal. What would you say to that argument?
Yeah, I think there's some danger in that, especially for us. Like, I mean, it takes about 8 people on a tech team to run a normal Sunday, and that's just like our live stream. That's not even like in room production with audio and lights and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think there's some danger in that, and that's kind of been our bent too. Is like we really, really, really want to protect our people, and so I think like we would just say like, no, I think we just don't feel like that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. Good. We talked about you recording in bulk. Tell me about your service flow. How have you guys put together the service, and how does it look different than a normal Sunday?
Yeah, so we've got a 5-minute countdown, which like we have never ever done. We've never done a countdown in service. So we have a 5-minute countdown that kind of helps get people situated and pushes that Facebook notification that, hey, CityView's live, so people can kind of get that note and get kind of prepared. And then from there, we hit a host welcome. And that's normally one of our pastors just saying, hey, we're glad you're here, blah, 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 blah. Maybe even reading some scripture and then praying into our first worship set list. And then we have offering.
How long is your set list?
Yeah, so we're normally doing about 5 songs on any given Sunday. So. And
you still do 5, or do you shorten that?
Yeah, no, so we're still doing 5. Yeah. Okay. So. But yeah, so we got worship set lists, and then we'll do offering with one of our pastors, and then we've got our super short Bible study with our kids men. So, and then we hop right into the sermon, and then we do one song closing, and then our host comes back and closes the service, and then our one of our elders prays for us at the end of the service.
Has it been the same flow for the last few weeks, or have you changed it up any?
We've tweaked it a little bit, but we've kind of like locked it in. We've moved some things around, but not anything major.
Have you seen people come in and out of your service? What has been the traffic like?
So it's funny. So in person, our congregation, there's some people in our congregation that will like get up and leave during the last song, and it's funny watching the Facebook analytics of like they still do that. So our people are still here, and they still are feeling somewhat normal. So
right, so after the sermon, they're out. So with that, would you suggest kind of a top heavy service where you're keeping the sermon on the back end?
Yeah, I think so. And two, I didn't mention this, but our pastor has actually cut his sermon down. Just looking at like our when we're here and in the building, like we have a captive audience. They drove here, they got ready, they're here. But at home, like there's kids running around. Like you got things that you want to do around the house for the day. So he cut our sermon, the sermon about I think it's like 30 minutes. Normally it's like 45 in service, and so. I think that's been really helpful. I think hopefully that makes people feel like, okay, cool. Like we're focusing on some worship, getting our heart right, and then we go into the message, and then we're kind of done for the day. So,
have you guys seen giving up and down? Has it been stable?
Yeah, our giving has been pretty stable. We haven't seen any major drops. I think our first week was kind of a little drop, but then we kind of picked up a little bit. So we've kind of been tracking back since that first week. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Last question for you. What are some things that you've learned from this experience that you would pass on to other churches?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is process matters. I think before I had a process, but didn't really track with it, like it was, kind of whatever. But now like with deadlines being so tight and hey, like we need to keep track and, hey, we have Google Calendar invite for all of our video shoots. So like everyone knows like, hey, this is the time that we're all supposed to be here. And I think that has really kind of been the helpful thing for us is like, beforehand it was just like, hey, let's go shoot this quick, 30-second promo. But now it's like, no, we can't do that. We need to schedule it and be on, kind of be on task. So,
do you record your message on Fridays? Do you edit everything together during the week and then drop in your sermon on Friday, or when are you starting your edit?
Yeah, so actually on Tuesday mornings, I'm starting to make the cuts for worship. And then literally on Fridays, drop an intro, outro, and our message, and then that's basically it. So then I hit export.
So for pastors listening, give us a sense of how long it's taking you to put together the entire service.
Gosh, I mean, I think probably the worship is the longest time because you're talking like lyrics and stuff. I have no clue on how long it would actually be. But it's a project that I'm working on every single day throughout the whole entire week. So
a little bit every day, Tuesday through Saturday.
Tuesday through basically Friday.
Yeah.
So,
cool. Are you putting lyrics in manually, or do you have a system for that? Another system?
So, we actually just started doing, recording the ProPresenter output. And so I'll listen to the track in Premiere, hit play, and then also hit record on ProPresenter, and then I'll track with it and run it manually. And then it's awesome. I get like a MP4 file, and I can just drop that in the timeline and hit screen, and then I've got my lower third lyrics all set. So yeah.
What do you use? So I've used like Pluralize, stuff like that to sync that up.
Yeah.
Do you have any tricks or plugins, resources?
No, we're just doing the clap right at the beginning of the song. And so that has worked pretty well with us, and using Premiere sync feature has been a giant lifesaver. So yeah, it's been awesome, man.
Premiere, Adobe's added a lot of great stuff over the last few years to help with things like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, man, thank you so much for your time. I know that you guys have really leaned into church online, and I think what you're doing, other churches can look at and hopefully gain some ideas from. So, man, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it today.
Yeah, man, absolutely. See you, man.
Well, hey guys, I wanted to let you know about our Monday roundtables. They are free open Zoom calls every Monday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Now, we just hang out, we chat about what's going on in your church, what's working, what's not. And we've had some really great folks join our roundtable over the last couple of months. My friend Luke McElroy from SALT, Ben Stapley, Justin Kennedy from Vimeo, Dr. Andrew Johnston, worship consultant Doug Hood, and more. We've had a lot of great people join the roundtable, and lots of you guys. I've gotten to know a lot of you in our Monday roundtables over the last couple of months. So thank you so much for hanging out. And if you haven't jumped in, I want to encourage you to do so. We would love to have you join us on Mondays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. All you have to do is join our Making Sunday Happen Facebook group, and we post a Zoom link in the group every Monday morning so that you know exactly where to go. And you can get more information and also watch past roundtables at 1230.media/Monday Roundtable. 1230.media/Monday Roundtable. All right, next up, my friend Dan Griffin. Dan has some great insight into where we are with COVID-19 and also where we might be going with our churches. So here's my interview with Dan Griffin. Hey guys, today I welcome back to the podcast my friend Dan Griffin. Dan, what's up, man? What do you make of this whole thing?
It is, I'm kind of tired of the word unprecedented, but it's the right word. This is my first pandemic, so I it's been crazy, man.
That amazes me because, I mean, how old you are in years, I'm surprised.
Hey. That's just rude. That is just rude.
Man, I asked you to come on the podcast, and it's like 1-2 punch right off the bat. Man.
We're not even 20 seconds in, and you're after me. But that's okay. Turnabout is always fair play, as long as the microphone is open.
That's right, man. That's right. I love you, buddy.
I love you too, man.
All right, so I just came from talking with Arron Hart at CityView Bible Church in Texas. And we did a case study on what church online looks like for their church. A lot of great ideas from what they're doing. And you really have a unique perspective. You used to be a worship pastor. Your wife is a worship leader in a traditional setting and at a church that has traditional and contemporary.
Right.
You lead a local chapter of C12, which is a bunch of Christian entrepreneurs and business leaders. So I like your perspective, and I wanted to get it. So where do you see where we are? Kind of give us a state of church world, and then kind of where do you see us going?
Well, I'll start with where we're going. I think anyone who says they know is sadly really just kind of blowing smoke.
Yeah.
We don't know where this is going to go, Carl. Is this going to go another 4 weeks, another 4 months? Now, I think it's going to be less than that, but this is one of those things. I'm putting the business hat on, right? With like what I would do with our C12 members. I think our churches need to prepare for this to go longer than they like, but yet be ready to open up sooner than they think. So you got to have multiple strategies here. If you don't, you're going to be left in alert one way or the other. As far as where we are, I think it depends on the church. You know, if you were an unhealthy church before, you're probably even more unhealthy now. If you were a healthy church before, you know, you've probably taken some shots, and it's been really difficult for your church family. But you're still probably in a really good, healthy spot, and there's been some good, beautiful things that have come out of this. So I think different churches are going to come out different ways from that perspective.
Obviously, it's probably depends on what state that you're in as well.
Yeah.
But if you are a church leadership, if you're in church leadership, executive pastor, senior pastor role, which you've served in churches and in a senior capacity,
right,
worship leader and other things before. Tell me if this was your decision, and maybe we can go by region or kind of, you know, if I'm in the Southeast, here's what I would do. But give me your thought process. How would you examine opening back up?
You know, here's where your challenge lies, Carl. Do you want to be the church that opens up too soon and you create a firestorm and it all gets pinned back on you. I mean, I can speak to certain people in certain industries. They're like, even if we opened up tomorrow, I'm not opening up right away. They can't afford to. They can't afford to take that public relations hit of being irresponsible. And frankly, I think our church leaders need to take a very sober analysis of that before they just willy-nilly fling the doors open. How are you going to handle your nurseries? How are you going to handle, I mean, like for Melody, how are you going to handle choir practice where you've got, can you socially distance and have a 50-member choir? I guess you can, but boy, that's going to be a challenge. So what I would suggest is be ready to go sooner, but be ready to go slower. I can't imagine right now in good conscience, how do you open up a nursery in the current situation? I just think you're begging for a problem. So I would look at it, what is it that you're really missing right now in your current experience? And it's probably community more than anything else. I mean, is that what you're hearing from folks?
Yeah.
So
I think
we can do community. We're that's the whole. Start sooner, but go slower. So open it up and really start focusing on how do we do groups of 10 to 20 in a responsible way, and let's get that piece right, and then we can look at how do we do 50. How do we do that right before we go? And again, I'm speaking for larger churches that have 500 to 5,000. Then how do we do that?
Well, that's kind of why I wanted to pair you with Arron, because I wanted to kind of go, if this thing continues for months and months, how do we do it effectively online? And Arron gave some great tips for that. So we have that strategy kind of taken care of. Or I kind of want to help churches. If you have to stay online, this is how you can do it. Okay. Now opening back up, if you had to do that, what does that look like? So like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was against the drive-in church idea. I just thought it was kind of too soon. How do you do bathrooms? How do you do, are you going to, there's just too many unknowns there. To me, that's just my opinion. But I think right now might be the time that I would start having that conversation as a step in the right direction. So do we start with drive-in? Then do we start with we've thrown out the idea of a small group that comes to the church to watch the live stream, like a ticketed kind of thing? Do we have multiple 10
or how about
this?
Day? Or how about this? Because if community is... Here's one of the things I think has been a little bit exposed of the church right now. Our commercialism has really kind of been exposed here, of how we've really become very commercialized. But people aren't missing our commercialization. We're still able to produce, in a if you will, virtual environment. So what if instead of, let's bring everybody back. Listen, I can't wait for us to have large gatherings again. But what if instead of that, you do it in homes where you do watch parties? And you're able to take advantage of an opportunity to do community. Imagine sitting out in your driveway with your big screen TV rolled out, and you're inviting your neighbors that, let's just be honest, they're not coming to your church. Right. Even under the best of circumstances right now, but they may come over to eat a burger, or you do breakfast, right, during live stream, and you have that opportunity. So I think the same level of creativity that we got thrust into, we need to now use that same kind of creativity coming out. So when we're able to start doing these gatherings in smaller, and that's really what's going to be wise here, Carl. You're not going to go from 0 to 60 here. I mean, I'm not talking about numbers, but put the hammer down and wide open right back where we were. It's just not wise. Right. So continue doing your live stream. Just start doing watch parties in neighborhoods and use it as an opportunity to build community.
So do we need to ask the question, what is provided in a live worship experience that can't be experienced online? Do you think a lot of people will say, oh, online's fine, I'll just stay watching online? And
yeah, you may have some of that. You really may. But they weren't coming before. I mean, it's kind of like, which would you rather do? I'm going to date myself. Listening to the CD or going to the live concert? Would you rather go to the football game or would you rather stay home and watch it on TV? And we're finding more and more people would rather stay home and watch the football game on TV because it's not the hassle.
Right.
You know? But for me, you can't beat the live experience. Right? You don't smell the grass. You can't feel the band. All of the energy in the room. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back. People are going to come back to whatever our outward expression was within the context of our church gatherings. Just be smart in how you get there.
So that begs this question. How do you think church leaders are going to prioritize doing church online even when we reopen? Do you think that more pastors their eyes are open to the online experience?
Well, I hope that they will, because the reality is a lot of those barriers to an online experience have now been kicked in. So let's take advantage of that. Listen, you got the gamut, right, of how people respond to those that say online church is really not church because you're not gathering together. And boy, I hate it for the Chinese, bless their heart, those folks that have to meet underground and in secret. I guess they don't get to have church. I mean, if you start putting our Western context on this, we get really, really in deep trouble really fast. But I don't think we can ignore that this is a new venue by which we can communicate our message. So let's take advantage of it. I think there are a lot of churches that already were, and I think they'll continue to do so. I think it's wonderful. A lot of them have really gotten a lot of practice to step up their game from your space and Steve's space specifically. Where how do we produce well? How do we make it come across? You know, it's one thing I think we've done better in the online environment, Carl, than we've done in the live environment. And I'm guilty of this. I was having this conversation with Melody. When I'm speaking before a live audience, I get this tone. The speaker tone, right? Where that just doesn't work in an online environment. So we've become far more conversational
and authentic.
Yeah, but so to that end, what I hope that some of our communicators will learn, how do we translate that into the live experience? Mm-hmm. So, from a technical standpoint, how do I be more conversational? Maybe my image magnification, maybe it needs to be zoomed in a little bit more and not as far away to give that better sense of intimacy if I'm in a larger room. Learning how to use my voice with not being as loud.
Right.
Unfortunately, a lot of us communicators, we love the sound of our own voice. And we really don't get a lot of great feedback on what we sound like, what we look like, the first impressions. Well, now guess what all these guys and gals that are communicators are having to do? They're having to watch themselves on live stream. So I'm hoping that our communication skills will elevate and improve because, frankly, we needed to.
That's a good point. How do you think it's going to look different going forward? Do you think that senior leadership is going to, maybe they haven't done as much online in the past? Do you think they'll reprioritize and put more money into making both experiences equally excellent?
Yeah. Again, my crystal ball is broken on that one. I mean, we've shown in our Western culture, we have a very short memory. So, if this rolls back, I see us going, right back to where we were. I hope we don't go all the way back there. We don't learn some of the lessons that we can carry into that. But I fear that we'll just roll straight into that. My guess is a lot of places, because of being thrust into this, they have invested already into some equipment. I'm not sure how many new microphones have been bought and how many new cameras and editing equipment and da-da-da-da-da, right? So I think what you'll probably see is, well, we got it, we might as well use it. So there'll be some of that, I'm quite certain. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Carl. Here's what, again, I hope that this has taken some of the air out of the whole commercialism piece, and we want to say, well, we're inviting people to worship, but yet you come in there and it's blacked out as if it's a performance. So hopefully, let's elevate the light in the room a little bit. My personal preference now. Let's elevate the light a little bit in the room to let people know that they're invited to be a part of this, to be fully in participation. A little less focus on some of the production elements, and a little more focus on the communication elements. I hope that'll be something that comes out of this, but we'll see.
What other questions should we be asking in our churches as we move forward? What are the questions that leadership needs to be answering?
Carl, this has exposed our faux artificial ways that we oftentimes go about the process of building community. There are a lot of lonely people right now. A lot of lonely people. And I think this is elevating for them. Listen, trauma is you know that Melody and I have had foster kids in the past, and so we've had to learn a lot about what does trauma do to people. On the back side of this, we're going to have a lot of people that have been traumatized, and it literally can kind of rewire the brain. We better be prepared for people acting differently than what we had expected them to act as they come back, because this has messed with some people. I mean, again, we don't know what's going to happen with the economy, but right now we're looking at numbers as far as unemployment even greater than we saw in the 29 crash. I mean, we've never seen anything like this. Overnight, boom, we shut our economy down. So we better be ready for that. How do we use technology with that? I'm not sure. Maybe we need to even ratchet up even more so. It's interesting with my coaching practice, with what I do with C12, I'm finding a lot of times in the Zoom environment, and some people are getting Zoom fatigue right now, but in the Zoom environment, man, I'm having great conversations with business leaders and with others that I'm coaching, primarily because they are tuned in right here. And because there's already an established relationship we're working off of, we've already got that set in, right? So we're able to work off of that context. I don't know, man. We're going to have a lot of challenges in front of us that this ain't over. Even if we flip the switch tomorrow, this is not over. And we need to be prepared as a church. Just because you come back and, quote unquote, everything goes back to normal, it's not going to be normal for everybody. And we got to be ready for that.
This might be off the beaten path, but...
wait a minute. I never go off the beaten path.
Well, you do. You don't. I do sometimes. It's true. So you mentioned online that we kind of need to maybe press into technology. Do you fear, we've seen a lot of censorship from YouTube and other platforms. Honestly, I hadn't seen as much as I thought I would in the last month or so. But even, you got guys like Dennis Prager and, Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro. I mean, a lot of these conservative guys kind of getting shut down and muzzled a little bit. There's been some weird stuff happening with some churches that are like, why is my feed completely down? Do you see any pushback, blowback? Do you see anything with that maybe conservative Christians need to look into building our own platforms? Speak to that.
It depends on what your objectives are. If your objective is to build a castle and put a moat around it and to isolate ourselves from community, okay, that makes sense. But if we, as within the C12 culture, our entire mission is to equip Christian CEOs and business owners to build great businesses for a greater purpose. Right. Our intent is not to run away; it's to run toward. So here's what I'll suggest, and I'll grab a third rail, and this may offend some people. I'm not intending to be offensive, but sometimes the truth hurts. You're welcome. Maybe we need to, as the the followers of Jesus, stop aligning with a blue jersey or a red jersey and quit making this political. I've watched some people want to say, my constitutional rights are being violated. Stop it. That's just not helpful. That's a tone that's not the tone that Jesus took. And let's run toward our culture, because if you want to change the culture, there's no better way to do so than with the power of the gospel. So, and frankly, some of the censorship that I've seen is because people say stupid things. And if you say stupid things, then expect to get censored. It's not been, again, and I'm sure there are some examples. I mean, Melody and I, we started our podcast and YouTube shut it down, and we still don't know why. Something triggered one of their bots, and okay, fine. It's not personal. They're not after me. It just happened. So don't take everything so personally. I would just suggest, Carl, that we run toward the culture, not away from it. And with that end, let's have a conversation with the YouTubes and with the Facebooks. Are they targeting the message of the gospel, or are they targeting some of the foolishness that dumb people say? And I'd suggest it's probably more of the latter than it is the former.
All right, last question for you. With your experience with C12, and why don't you tell people what that is, and then what is the business owner perspective? What is the Christian business owner? What do they think of all this? And are there any thoughts that we could bring into church world?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, C12, I'm just honored to be able to be a part. C12 is the nation's largest network of Christian CEO and business owner peer advisory groups. So it's a place where growth companies come together to really focus on, how do I work not in my business for this day, but how do I work on my business? And so we're focused on how do we build great businesses, but it's also for a greater purpose. So it's important to have good sales. Listen, a bad business doesn't glorify God. So how do we build a great business, but with a focus on the greater purpose of ministry, and not just fuel of ministry of writing checks, very important, but how do we literally minister to the people that God has given a stewardship of, our employees, our customers, our stakeholders, all of our vendors, and how do we leverage the gospel in that space? Because when we stand before God, we don't get to, break off pieces of our life and say, well, that was secular. Mm-hmm. This whole concept of sacred and secular is really a misnomer. It's all His. So that's what C12 is about, and coming alongside those Christian business owners. As how are Christian business owners, they're kind of in this same pot with everybody else, right? So how do we take advantage of the opportunities presented to us? How do we take advantage of PPE? The PPP program with the CARES Act. How do we take advantage of any disaster loans? How do we position ourselves to take advantage of opportunities within the marketplace? There's been a lot of fear. No, there's no doubt about that. I mean, there are companies that literally, Carl, within a matter of 48 hours, went from blowing and going to shuttering their doors and furloughing their employees because there was nothing to do. So there's a lot of fear, and I think what my prayer is, and what we're talking about with them, always remember we live in a broken, fallen world, and that thankfully God's in control, and we're willing to double down on that. And I don't know how this ends, right? But at the same time, I want to be a good steward of what God's given me. And as I lean into that, to build that great business for a greater purpose, the same thing is true in our churches. And remember, these business owners, again, if you take away that whole idea of the sacred and the secular, these folks that are sitting beside you in the pews on Sunday, they're going out and they're trying to make an impact with the gospel in what they do Monday through Friday as well. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's some general thoughts on that, man.
Awesome, man. Well, I love your insight. Thank you so much for coming on.
I always love coming on, man. Appreciate it.
So for people who don't know, we live in the same city. So once this is all over, so people are putting on Facebook, what do you want to do when you get out of quarantine? And I think that a Mexican lunch with Dan Griffin is like top of the list. It's like number one.
El Jimador, here we come, baby.
Yeah, baby. All right. Thanks for your time, man. I love you.
The show notes for this episode are available now at makingsundayhappen.com.
Well, hey guys, thanks so much for joining me this week. Before I leave you today, I want you to check out our Church Online Tips web series. It's on our website at 1230.media/church online. We've been releasing new videos nearly every day to give you short tips and tricks on how to enhance your online worship experience. We also have a book coming out called The Church Online Guide that will encompass all of our Church Online tips as well as some additional content. So be sure to check that out, 1230.media/church online. The entire web series is free. The book's going to be like $10 on the site, so really affordable training content to help you bring your online worship experience game up just a little bit. 1230.media/church online. Well, we love you guys. We're here for you. Thank you so much for letting us serve alongside you, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you guys. Feel free to reach out if you'd like to drop me a line, Carl@1230.media, Carl@1230.media. I'd love to hear from you. We'll go out there and create some incredible worship experiences this weekend. I'll catch you next week.
Making Sunday Happen is a production of the ministry of 1230 Media. For show notes, archive episodes, and more free resources for your church, visit makingsundayhappen.com.